This is Karla Pendleton again with episode 3 of Painting One Fire Finger Painted Tulips. I have done a couple of things off camera that I didn't perhaps share with you, just trying to match a little bit better the design that I'm looking at on this other piece of this 5-piece place setting. I wanted to mention that I have moved the yellow flower, the yellow tulip, or what will become the yellow tulip, further up the plate. I felt like it was just too close here, and I needed some room for stem. I did a little bit more detail on this shadowy, light, pale pink violet here and gave it a stem, and that required a little bit of reworking into the background here. But you know the basic way to carve out this background, and so I want to go on with trying to work on the major leaves. That will be the leaves that are coming across here. We've already finger painted, and that one. Those are already in, the paint has been laid in, so now all we really need to do is detail them. I'm going to use my half-inch brush to detail them with, and I'm just loading in some clean medium, wiping against the lip of the dish, and I'm going to pick up just a little bit of that old gold green. That's that middle value of green. I'm going to start laying in and shaping, just smoothing out these leaves a little bit. Now, these leaves are not perfectly smooth. They are fairly well textured, and so I'm not trying to really blend all of the fingerprints out, just trying to kind of bring it together a little bit so that I'm ready to pull some of this color down further into the plate where I'll want this leaf coming from. And then I'm going to use my wipeout tool to kind of shape the edges a little bit more into a tulip shape. So I'm going to start up here at the top. I'm going to pull some of that highlights that way. I'll probably have a turn back in here, so I think what I'll do is smudge out a little bit of this leaf color right in here so that I can pull that turn back in later. I'm going to define this edge a little bit more and put in some highlights, and then also down here. Now let's soften those highlights. I'll always be bringing those strokes in towards the center and down toward the bottom of the leaf, just so that I get the veining patterns that I want, and a little more highlight. This is where I'm going to have the turn back eventually, so I'll just leave that for the moment. Soften these, and I'm just using a very light brush stroke here, pulling those strokes in towards the center. Also here, near the base, and coming over that background leaf. Let's go ahead and pull in a few more highlights here. I don't want to remove too much paint since I'm going to require some for that turn back there. Just want to kind of get those veining patterns going the right direction. Here's going to be my turn back, and we're going to move it right down like that, and now pull to soften the edges, but we don't want to lose too much of that straight line. You see, this is the space that's vacated by that leaf. Oop, looks like I got into a little bit of my finger painting. That's okay. We haven't detailed that yet, so won't worry about it too much. Just come in here, always pulling those strokes the direction that the veining pattern would take in these, which is always towards the base of the leaf. And I may just pull in the background a little bit further here, because I know I'm eventually going to need a stem connecting that upper petal. And we'll show that straight edge along there. Maybe just a little bit more detail on that leaf that we see in the background. Getting into all my wet paint, that's all right. At this point, it's not a problem. And so we'll put just a little bit more of a highlight there along that edge and curve it back around, that typical kind of twist that you often see on these tulip leaves. Let's now detail this one near the bottom of the design, and I'm just bringing some of those finger painted strokes, you know, the fingerprints in, and blending them a little bit better. I'm going to shape the tip of this leaf. And I'm running out of paint. My brush is getting a little dry. It's starting to split on me. So I'm going to go in. This time I'm going to pick up a little bit of chartreuse on that brush and start pulling some of that petal across the top of that background. And I think I'll reshape it a little bit with my carving tool. I really want to get some of that detail on that leaf to make sure that the viewer knows this leaf is in front of that vague. We don't want this to be too primary. It doesn't even exist. It's an element I've added. It doesn't exist on the other pieces that I've painted, so I don't want to emphasize it too much. Let's go ahead and pull some more color out there, and then we'll come around here and maybe show a turn back coming right out of this area here and going down towards the stem. We'll just wipe that up. Getting a little split in my brush there again. It's getting too dry. I'm going to reload with this time a little bit of the old gold green and a tiny bit of the black green so that I can pull more of a shadow on this side of the leaf, which will give me some more more depth to that turn back. Especially I want to see more color, especially right in here, the very first part of that turn back. And now soften it a bit, and then we're going to pull that out. Take off a little bit of that paint, probably a little more, always making sure that those strokes are going down towards the base of the leaf. And then we'll reshape along this edge. Maybe pull off just a little bit here. And we'll want to see this stem coming down. Now you see I rotate this piece quite a bit just because I'm so used to using this turntable. It's hard for me to paint without it, even though I've had the surgery to kind of correct the wrist problems that I had, and it was very successful. I don't really have to have this turntable anymore, but I've painted with it for so many years. And I've become so used to it, it's hard to paint without it. I'm sure I could if I had to, but luckily I don't, and I'm going to keep using it. I think it speeds up the process, and when you're painting for resale or for sale, time is important. So the faster you can get it done, the fewer fires you can manage, the better off you are. Okay, I think I'll reshape this edge here, maybe making that part of that leaf coming out. Just because I have a little bit more space on this plate. This is a 10-inch plate as opposed to the 8-inch plate design that I'm looking at right now. So I've got a little bit more room to play around, and I think I'll take advantage of it. Let's go ahead and pull this a little further down, soften, maybe bring that just a little further over. A little more highlight right there. And sometimes you get these hard edges that you don't want. The way you knock those down is just to come in here with a light touch. Notice my hand is way back on the handle. I'm just barely touching the piece just to knock down that hard edge there. And because I did that, I think I need to extend this a little further. Now that I turn it right side up and look at the proportions of the leaf, I'm going to pull it down a little further, line it up. And now I'm liking that a whole lot better. This edge right here is getting a little hard now. Let me go ahead and see if I can't pull out some more highlight before I knock that hard edge down. And pull. The final strokes always need to be toward that edge and the base. So it's always a diagonal we're working on here. Boy, I've really gotten into that yellow tulip. That's okay. We'll get the color back when we need to. And we don't need to right now. Let's pull that out a little bit more. This is one of the background leaves. We don't want too much detail on it, but I do want some color behind that turn back there. So I'm going to pick up some more of the blue wisteria, which is kind of a blue-green mallard, similar to Russian green or Russian blue even, or the mallard. All right, I think that's going to be it for the two major leaves. We'll have another one here in front, but we will do that last after we've done the detail work on the other two violets. So thank you for watching. Again, if you have any questions, be sure and call me at 970-799-1788. I also supply all of the materials that I'm using for this session. You can reach me by email at khpendleton, that's Pendleton, at hotmail.com. Thank you so much for watching. Bye now. God bless.